Okay. Well, thank you, John, for the introduction. And I'd like to thank all of you. Let me just start my timer. I have a timer because we're on a tight schedule today. Thank you all for coming here today. If this works, we'll go to the first slide. So I will be talking today about superheroes to bubbles. And this was a very fun talk to prepare, but also a very challenging talk, because I have to figure out how to combine two questions into one talk, and that's always challenging. So what I had to do was combine two questions. And I have a very good rule when I give talks. I only like to have one thought in the talk, because two is too many to keep track of. So I had to figure out how to make these two questions into one. And so we have this idea of, why would I want to talk about I'm just going to hold the microphone. Why would I want to talk about superheroes and science? And why would I want to talk about things like sand piles, shaving cream, shampoo? And when I thought about it, I realized that it comes down to fundamental science versus technology. So why would I want to do this? Fundamental science versus technology. I think it's an issue particularly, I work in the field known as condensed matter physics. This is, we like to say, it's everything that's not particle physics, astrophysics, or plasma physics. And so it's pretty much everything else, and it's very broad. But it's the area that when people think about it, and we're at our meetings and we're talking and we say we want to do outreach to the public and convince them why condensed matter physics is important. Most of the other areas, like particle physics, people immediately think, oh yes, fundamental questions, the smallest pieces of matter, how they interact, the most fundamental interactions. Astrophysics has to do with the cosmology of the universe, how it started. And condensed matter physics has to do with rocks. Or how do we make this exciting? And often the first thing that happens is people think of technology. You have your nanotechnology or your biotech, because a lot of biological physics goes under condensed matter. And it's often hard in the landscape of technology to realize what are the real fundamental challenging questions. And what I hope to convince you by the end of the day is that foam is something you don't understand, and that it has fundamental, deep issues of science. You may have doubts now, but by the end, hopefully, you won't. And superheroes turn out to be a great way to bring out this difference between what I call fundamental science and technology. Now, both are very important. I'm not saying one is more important than the other, but they're different, and it's useful to know the difference. So I'm going to start with the superhero part and then move to the foams. Now, one thing I want to encourage you is to, in the course of this talk, it seems rather formal. I'm actually wearing a jacket. I think this is only the third time I've worn a jacket at a talk. The first two was when I was looking for jobs. But I want you to really be encouraged to ask questions during. At any point, please raise your hand and ask, because there's a chance we'll run out at the end, and I don't want you to leave here with some burning question.